Testing, testing. Okay. All right. Continuing part 178, 337.4 joints. Joints shall be required with section 8 with the ASME code, with all undercutting in the shell with the head of the material repair with a specified therein. Welding procedure welding performance going with the section 9 of the ASME code, in addition with the essential variables name of the area, with the following must be considered the essential variables number of the plate, number of passes, thickness of the plate, heat input with the per pass of the manufacturer identification rod, and plug with the application done in accordance with this part of the UHC section 8 of the ASME code. Filler material containing more than 0.08% of the vanadium must not be used. The number of passes, the thickness of the plate with the heat input per pass may be vary more than 25% of the procedure. While their qualifications required, qualifications must be retained for at least 5 years. The car tanker manufacturer must be made available to duly identify with the representative of the department with the owner of the cargo tank of the longitudinal shell welds should be located with the upper half of the cargo tank. Each of the preparation of the shell have the head of the cones maybe the machine head process in such a surface that it remelt the subsequent welding process where thereby no subsequent remelting prepared surface of the tapered section final then 50,000 of an inch of it shall be removed with the mechanical mean with the maximum tolerance of the misalignment with the butting up of the shell being in accordance with the requirements of the ASME Section 8, the substructures properly before the attachment as the welding sequence shall be such as the minimum stress to do the shrinkage of the welds. 178, 337, 5, the bulkheads, baffles, and rings, no specification requirements to be reserved. 178, 337, 6, the closure of the manhole, each cargo tank motor marked certified by April 21st, 1994 must be provided with a manhole covering the paragraph UG 46G1 of the other applicable requirements. Section 8 of the ASME code, except for the cargo tank of the cover, the NQT still having the capacity of the 3,500 water gallons or less, may be provided with the inspection and opening with the form with the paragraph UG 46 for the other applicable requirements of the ASME code, instead of the manhole assembly with the cargo tank constructed with the after June 30th, 1979 may be located in the front head of the cargo tank. 178, 337, 7, the overturn protection. C 178, 337, 10, reserved 178, 337, 8, openings, inlet, and outlets. General requirements of this paragraph A with apply with the MC 331 cargo tank except for the U for the transportation chlorine requirements for the inlet and the outlets chlorine cargo tanks per paragraph B with the section on opening must be provided with each of the cargo tank U for the transportation liquid material to permit the complete drainage. Except for the gauging device for the thermometer well for the pressure relief valve for the main openings of the product inlet opening for the product discharge openings. Each opening of the cargo tank must be closed with the plug and cap bolts of the flange, except for the providing paragraph B with the section each of the product with the including the vapor return with the must be fitted with the backflow of a check valve for the internal self-closing stop valve located inside of the cargo tank and inside of the weld nozzle with the internal integral part of the cargo tank of the valve must be located within inside of the cargo tank at least 1 inch from the external face of the weld. The damage of the exterior of the cargo tank of the mating of the flange must provide effective seating of the weld. All the parts of the valve inside of the cargo tank of the welded flange must be made. The material will not corrode with the deteriorating presence of the flange, except for the provided in paragraph A5 of the BC with the section with the liquid into vapor discharge outlet must be fitted with the primary discharge of the control system defined 178, 337, 1G with the thermal remote operators must be activated with a temperature at 250 degrees Fahrenheit or less. Linkages between the closure of the remote operator must be corrosion resistant effective within all types of environmental conditions instant with the discharge of the product on cargo tanks above 13,274.5 liters or 3,500 gallons water capacity. Thermal mechanical mean with the remote with the closure must install at the end of the cargo tank to leave the two diagonal opposite locations. Floating and unloading cargo tank is not general vicinity of the one over the two locations specified by the first sentence of the paragraph A4. One of the additional mean with the thermal remote control. Remote closures must be installed with the heat of the 5 of the loading and unloading control area to discharge pump with the activate primary discharge control system loading and unloading connection, which is hoses and hose reels are connected in permanent metal piping. On cargo tanking 3 to 500 gallon water capacity or left, the thermal mean of the remote closure must be installed near the internal self-closing stop valve. The mechanical means remote closures must be installed at the end of the cargo tank furthest away from the loading and unloading. Over the in connection with the loading and unloading connection area with the hose reel with the permanent metal with the pipe of leakage between the closure of the remote operative must corrosion the resistant effectiveness all type of the environmental conditions with the discharge of the product. All parts of the valve inside of the cargo tank well, the flange must be made of material that will not corrode the deteriorate in presence of the landing. Accessible flow valve with integral accessible flow valve with accessible flow feature must close the flow reach with the ray with the flow gas liquid specified with the original valve manufactured with the piping mounted directly of the valve shape to outlet before the first valve, the fitting of the downstream from the accessible flow valve. Integral accessible flow valve, accessible flow feature. The integral access of the flow valve with the accessible flow feature for the internal self-closing stop valve must be designed bypass 40,000 of an inch diameter opening with the allow the equalization and pressure. Internal self-closing stop valve is designed itself as a storage energy source of the valve seating located with the cargo tank of the 1 inch of the external surface of the flange range of the damage of the part exterior of the cargo tank mating flange must prevent the effectiveness of the seating of the valve. A primary discharge control is not required for the vapor flowing with the vapor to liquid discharge opening less than 1 1/4 MPT with the equivalent of less flow together with the manually operated external stop flow. Place of the internal self-closing stop valve with any engine fuel line over the tank, truck mounted cargo tank of the no more than 3/4 of the MPT equipped with the valve with having the internal excessive flow valve with the excessive flow feature. A cargo tank motor vehicle to transport refrigerated liquids such as argon, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, krypton, neon, nitrogen, xenon, and mixtures thereof. In addition, for the internal self over the closing stop valve, each of the filling and the discharge lines must be fitted with a stop located between the internal self-closing stop valve and the hose connection backflow check valve. Excessive flow valve may not be used and satisfied with the requirements. Excessive flow valve may be designed bypass the exceed the 40,000th of an inch diameter for the opening, allowing equalization pressure. Inlet and discharge outlet for the chlorine tank. The inlet discharge outlet with the cargo tank transport chlorines must meet with the requirements of 178, 337, 1C2, but it must be fitted with the internal excess flow valve. In addition, with the internal excess flow valve, inlet discharge outlet must be equipped with the external stop valve. The angle valve of the excessive flow valves must conform with the standard of the chlorine incident and the file value for the conforming with the chlorine incident drawing 1017 must be installed with each other liquid angle valve. Valve conforming with the chlorine incident drawing 1066, but it must be installed with each of the gas angle valve. Discharge outlet with carbon dioxide refrigerated liquid cargo tank with the discharge outlet cargo tank used to transport carbon dioxide refrigerated liquid is not required to be fitted with the internal self-closing stop valve. 178, 337, pressure relief devices, piping valve and hose fittings. The pressure relief devices, see paragraphs 173, 315Y with the chapter of the cargo tank with the carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, 178, 315, I9, and 10 of the subchapter. Each value must be designed with a constructed market with a braided pressure not less than the cargo tank design pressure for the temperature excess and to be encountered piping valve of the hose fitting, the burst pressure for all the piping and piping hose fittings, all the other pressure except for the pump seal within the pressure release devices must be at least 4 times the design pressure for the cargo tank. Additional burst pressure may be not less than 4 times, but any higher than pressure for each of the pipe fitting of the hose. The other pressure part of the most subject within set or the 4 clearing serve the paragraph B7 of the section. Pipe and joints must be threaded with the welded flange of the thread pipe. The pipe fittings must be scheduled 80 weight with a heavier except for the sacrificial devices. Malleable metal, stainless steel with the ductile iron must be even the construction on primary valve body parts of the fittings, and the liquid filling with the vapor equalization stainless steel, the internal component of the shut-off disc of the same springs except for the incompatible landing of the to be transported where the copper tubing is permitted with the jabbing to be brave, the being equal to the strong metal of the union type. The metal point of the brazing material may not be lower than 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and that the joint tubing may not reduce the strength of the tubing. For the hose coupling must be designed to pressure for at least 120% of the hose on pressure, so that there will be no leakage of the connecting pipe, but it must be protected with the damage due to thermal expansion of the contraction, jarring of the vibration, slip joint, but not authorized with the purpose cargo tank. 6 cargo tank manufacturers fabricated demonstrated that all the piping and fitting of the valve, cargo of the tank are free of the leaks of the meat of the requirement of the piping valve. The fitting must be tested with the insulation not less than 80% of the design part pressure marked on the cargo tank. A hose assembler must be permanently marked each of the hose assembly unique identification number to demonstrate each of the hose assembly free of the leaks for the performing testing inspection 18416F of the subchapter. Mark each hose assembly with the month and year of the original pressure chlorine cargo tank, the angle valve of the cargo tank, the intent of the cargo chlorine service. The perform with the standard of the Chlorine Institute, drawing 104, 8 of the section A3 of the pamphlet 166. The angle valve guidelines for the chlorine bulk transportation. Before installation, each of the angle valve must be tested to leak without less than 225 psi gauge of the dry air and air gas. The outlets of the gauge device and thermometer pressure relief device. Each of the cargo tank with the inlet and outlet must be marked with liquid vapor to designate with the communication liquid of the vapor. Cargo tank of the fill with the maximum permitted filling density. Filling in line with the communicate for the vapor may be marked with a spray fill with the instant vapor. Refrigerating heating coils. Refrigerating heating coils must be securely anchored with the provision of thermal expansion for the coils must be pressure for the tested externally with due less at least for the cargo tank test for pressure for the internal each of the tank test for pressure to wife the working pressure for the heating refrigeration system of the whichever is higher the cargo tank may not be played with the surface of the end of the leakage or curve of the evidence of the damage of the found with the refrigerating heating of the medium of the circulated through the coils must not be capable of causing adverse chemical reactions within the cargo tank landing in the event of the leakage unit furnishing of refrigeration may be mounted with a more vehicle when any liquid suspected with freezing vapor and such for the liquid as you think heating is a refrigeration liquid. The heating of the refrigeration system should be arranged to permit complete drainage. 173, 337, 10 axle damage protection. All valves and fitting pressure relief devices, other accessory for the tank proper protected for the clone with the paragraph B of the section again. If such damage should be caused by collision or other vehicle, the objective to anything other returning an additional pressure relief devices shall be directed into the over Turn of the vehicle onto the arch of the openings will not be prevented. The discharge will not be restricted. Protective devices housing designed with same with the stack in any direction equal to the twice the weight of the tank. Attachment must be filled with a landing and safety factor not less than 4 times based on the ultimate shrink of the material used without damage of the things protected. It must be made with at least 3/16 of an inch thick. Rear end tank protection. Rear end tank protection devices must consist of at least one rear bumper designed to protect the cargo tank at all valve with the piping fit with the rear cargo tank from damage that could result in the loss of the landing of them with the rear end collision bumper damage of the design must transport force of the collision directly with the chassis of the vehicle. The rear bumper and its attachment of the chassis must be designed to withstand a load equal to the twice the weight over the attachments using safety factor the 4 base of the tensile string with the material used with such load being applied horizontally parallel with the major axis of the car tank. Rear bumper dimensions must also meet the requirements of 393/86 of the title, conform with the requirements of 178/345/8D. Chlorine tanks after the chlorine must equip the protective housing manway cover to permit the using a standard emergency kit with a control leaf with the fittings of the dome cover plate with the tanks the manufactured after October 1st, 2009. Housing manway covered with the conform with the Chlorine Institute drawing 137.5. Pipe fitting of the pipe fitting must be grouped with the small practical space with the protective of the damage and required section shear section. The shear section sacrificial device is required with the valve specified in the following location. Section will break down under the strain with the provided adjacent outboard with each of the valves specified 178/337. 8A3 and 4. Internal surface self-closing stop valve excessive low valve check valve that must be checked with the shear with a section. Each sacrificial device must be located with the piping system on board stop the valve with the accident damage protection preventing accidental loss with landing failure with the specific critical device must be leave with the protected landing to protected device attachment with the cover tank will intact with a cable of retaining product. 178/337/11. Emergency discharge control. Emergency discharge control equipment. Emergency discharge control equipment must be installed with a liquid discharge line with the specified of the product and service 173/315 and the subchapter performance and certification requirements of the emergency discharge control requirement specified 173/315 and of the subchapter R is in part with the car tank of the motor vehicle with the certification made under the specification engine fuel lines on the truck mounted power tank of the emergency discharge control equipment is not required on the engine fuel line with not more than 3/4 of the NPT equipped with the valve not integral excess flow valve excessive flow feature. 178/337/12 reserve 178/337/12 13 supporting anchorage to a car tank of the non-permeable attachment integral with the vehicle chaff must be secured with a UV restraint device to prevent relative the motion between the car tank of the vehicle if chaff the vehicles in operation. The restraint device must be readily accessible to the inspection and maintenance on cargo tank of the motor vehicle with the design constructed to show that the cargo tank constituted and hold the part of the structural member UV the piece of the motor vehicle with the frame of the cargo tank must be supported external cradles. The cargo tank mounted the motor vehicle the frame must be stored with the external cradle and longitudinal member the UV the cradles subintended with at least 120 degrees over the shell circumference. The design of the calculation of the support elements must satisfy the requirements of 178/337/3 A, B, C, and D. When able, the cargo tank support attached to the part of the cargo tank with the strap imposed upon the head of the must be provided with the required paragraph C of this section. 178/337/14 gauging device liquid level engaging device C7 and 173/315H of the subchapter pressure gauge 173/315H of the subchapter each cargo even the carbon dioxide refrigerated liquid and nitrous oxide refrigerated liquid surface must provide with a suitable pressure for the gauge. Shuttle valve must be installed between the gauge pressure gauge of the car tank orifice of 173/315H3 and 4 with the subchapter 178/337/15 pumps and compressors, liquid pumps and gas compressors must be suitable design of the adequately protected against the break of the collision, keeping in good condition, driven the motor vehicle to take off the other mechanical, electrical, hydraulic means. But if they are centrifugal type, that should be equipped with suitable pressure actuated by a passive permitted with the flow of the discharge suction of the cargo tank. The liquid chlorine pump may not be installed with the cargo tank instead of the transportation of chlorine. 178/316 178/337/6 inspection material with the construction of the cargo tank of the improvements of the original inspection furnished for the cargo tank improvements must be required in Section A of the ASME Code and is further required with the specification except for the cargo tank constructed according with the Part UHT Section A of the ASME Code with original test pressure must be at least twice the cargo tank design pressure. While the test inspection, each cargo tank constructed in accordance with the UHT with the Section A of the ASME Code must be subject to the post-well with the treatment of the hydrostatic testing with the wet fluorescent magnetic particle inspection to be made with the well or the cargo tank shell with the heated head. The bolt of the inside of the out method inspection must conform to the Appendix 6, Section A ASME Code, except for the permanent magnet shall not be used on cargo tank with the 3,500 gallon water capacity other than those described in B1 of this section, unless fully radiographic must be made with all the wells and on-shell with head blade has both inside and outside, either with the wet fluorescent magnetic particle method of conforming Appendix U with the Section A of the ASME Code, liquid dyeing penetration. Method ultrasonic testing in accordance with the Appendix M12 of the Section A of the SME Code. Permanent magnet may not be used to perform magnetic particle inspection. All defects found with this should be repaired with the cargo tank shall be then be posted with a heat treated. If such heat treatment was previously performed and repaired, air shall be again be tested. 178, 337. 17 marking general. Each cargo tank with the October of 2004 with a corrosion-resistant metal nameplate with each of the cargo tank and motor vehicle with a certified October 1st, 2014 must have the specification plate permanently attached to the cargo tank of the brazing welding or suitable means for the left side near the front of the plate. Successful inspection specification plate attached directly to the cargo tank wall by welding and may be welded to the tank before the cargo tank is posted and heat welded and heat treated. Plates may be legible marked with the same thing posing with the namely the forming letters into the metal plate with the information required on the paragraph. You can see with the section additional with the requirements of the ASME code of the character is at least 316 with an inch for the high parenthetical and abbreviations may either all plate that must be made contain in legible condition. Each of the insulated cargo tank will have an additional plate with described in the tab for the jacket location specified unless the specification plate of the for the chassis has the information required in paragraphs B and C of this section. Information required both the name of the specification plate with the display with a single plate with the information required with the inspection of the display with the plate required by the ASME code. Information need not to be repeated on the name of the specification. Specification plate with a attached the cargo tank motor vehicle with the chassis rail by bracing welding suitable mean for the left side of the front of the head place accessible inspection and specification with the attached of the chassis. The rail with the cargo tank here, the number, the sign of the cargo tank manufacturer with the bouncing code with the on the plate, nameplate. The following information must be marked with the name in the corner of the specification section. Specification MC331. Original tested date. With the original test date, the maximum allowed working pressure and PSI gauge. Cargo tank of design temperature, Fahrenheit to Fahrenheit, normal capacity, water capacity in pounds. The maximum allowable density landing in pounds per gallon. Material specification number and sheet material year, and then YYY replaced with the alloy designation replaced by the alloy type. Material specification number, the head material YYY at 3 asterisks where the Y is replaced with the alloy designation. The asterisks are the alloy type. Minimum thickness of the minimum shell inch of the minimum shell thickness if they're not the same in the different areas. Shop the top side bottom in inches. The minimum thickness heads of the minimum head thickness. The manufactured thickness shell of the manufactured shell thick top side bottom in is required when the additional thickness is provided and corrosion allowance maximum manufactured thickness of the head of the manufactured head thickness within an inch is required with additional thickness to provide with the corrosion allowance exposed surface area in square feet. Your specification plate, the following information must be marked with the specification plate according to the section of the cargo tank motor vehicle, the manufacturer, the cargo tank motor vehicle, the certification date of the cargo tank motor vehicle, cargo tank manufacturer for the month and year, maximum weight landing in pound, the lining of materials, if applicable, the heating system design and pressure and PSI gauge, if applicable, heating system design temperature with a degree Fahrenheit applicable, cargo tank serial number, the sign of the cargo tank manufacturer applicable, the design of the weight of lining determined and loading of the 178, 337, 3B, 337, 10BC, and 337, 13A and B must be shown with the maximum weight of the landing marking with the required paragraph C of this section. 178. 337 and 18. After before the time of the delivery, the cargo tank manufacturer must supply to the owner must be the time of the cargo tank motor vehicle manufactured that required with the Section 8 of the ASME code and certification stating that the completed cargo tank motor vehicle will conform with all the respective specification MC331 and the ASME code with the registration number, the manufacturer design certification engineer registered inspector appropriator must appear with appear on the certificate subpart F of part 107 subchapter A of this chapter. For each of the design certification must be signed with a reasonable official with the manufacturer design certification engineer. Each cargo tank motor vehicle with the certification must be signed and reasonable official with the manufacturer registered and inspected with the cargo tank motor vehicle with the manufacturer two more with each of the manufacturer perform the manufacturer function portion for the incomplete cargo tank of the motor vehicle to provide with the succeeding manufacturer on before the time of the delivery. Certificate state with the function and with the manufacturer including certification required with the previous manufacturer registered inspection defined and certification engineer specification short whenever the cargo tank motor vehicle to manufacture the two more shape, the manufacturer for the cargo tank must attach the nameplate specification required 178, 337, 8, 17, A and B without the original date of the certification stamp of certification prior manufacturer specification requirements that are not complete with the certification of the compliance of the cargo tank motor vehicle is brought to full compliance with the Apple specification cargo tank motor vehicle manufacturer when have registered the inspector stamp of the date of the certification statement, the specification with the plate with the certification compliant with the owner for the cargo tank motor vehicle certification compliance must add the action taken bring cargo tank motor vehicle to the full compliance, and in addition with the certification must include the date of the certification and the person, manufacturer, carrier, repair organization accomplishing the compliance. The certificate must be with whether or not included in certification all valves and pipes and protective fitting to conform with the requirements specification does not see that so certified and installed that any of the such valve of the pipe and devices supplied with the owner shall obtain the certifying and asserting a complete compliance within the specification of the such devices allowed. Certificate and certification will include with a sufficient sketch of the drawing and the other information to indicate the location made of the model of the side of each of the arrangement of all the pipe associated with the cargo tank certification must contain this everything indicating whether or not the cargo tank with the post well treated with the anhydrous ammonia specified in 178 337 1F. Owner shall retain a copy of the data reported certificate of the related paper to file through the ownership of the cargo tank motor vehicle with at least 1 year through the after an event of the chain of the ownership of retaining the piper prior to the non-paying of the photographical reproduce copy of the deemed to satisfy the requirements each motor carrier there of the cargo tank motor vehicle did not own there also and a copy of the data report certificate and retain them in the files during time and heave of the cargo tank motor vehicle for at least 1 year thereafter. Alright, 178 338 specification MC338 installation cargo tank motor vehicle 178 338 1 general requirements for the purpose of the section design pressure meaning the maximum allowable working pressure section 8 ASME code if the pressure gauge at the top of the tank design serve the temperature meaning the coldest temperature for which the tank is suitable and 178 330 18A1 and F at the subchapter that each cargo tank must consider the same support welded inner vessel included with the outer shell of the jack of the insulation between the inner and vessel of the outer shell of the jack of the piping valve support. Other pertinently specified in the subchapter the purpose of the specification tank means the inner vessel. The jacket means the either outer shell of the insulation cover the inch of the tank design with the constructed certified and same with the according to the section 8 of the ASME code. The exterior surface of the tank may insulate the material compatible with the landing. Each cargo tank may have the insulation system prevent the tank pressure exceeding the pressure relief valve with the pressure with the width of the specified holding tank is unloaded with the specified cryogenic liquid in design condition with the specified temperature of the pressure of the cryogenic liquid is exposure will available with the cargo tank with the average temperature of 85 degrees. The cargo tank with the transportation oxygen insulation with the sustainable combustion 99.5% of the oxygen in the atmosphere as the atmospheric pressure contained with the continuously within heated glowing plate and platinum wire. The cargo tank must be marked within accordance with 178 338 with the 18B and S. The vacuum insulated cargo tank must be provided with the connection with the vacuum gauge that indicates the absolute pressure of the insulation gauge. Space. Insulation must be complete with the cover through the metal jacket. With the jacket, the insulation must be constructed to seal to prevent the moisture coming in contact with the insulation. 173 318 with the subject minimum metal thickness as follows. Evacuated jacket must be compliant with the following ones. The jacket must be designed to sustain the minimum critical collapsing pressure with the 30 psi gauge. Jacket support the additional loading of the weight of the tank of the landing with the combined strip of the compaction imputed in accordance with the formula in 178 338 3 and B with the main axis 25% of the minimum specified tensile strength. 178 338 2 material. All material used for the construction of the tank with the prudence is made with the compass tank landing with the compatible with the landing with it be transported. Material that you with the tank pressure must conform with the quantities of section 2 of the ASME code. All materials you with the excavating jacket pressure must be part of the conforming to chemistry with the hill making practice. More material specification section 2 of the ASME code with the following ASME specification 82 42 441 45 14 572 588 606 633 715 1008 A 1008M 1011A 1011M. All tie rods and mountings for the other prudency for the jacket, all pipe fittings for the valves must be material suited for the use for the lowest temperature for the encountered impact testing required. All tank materials except for the material expected with the impact testing. The ASME code must be performed with the pressure for the prescribed in section A of the ASME code. Strict final rolling with the shell material must be circumferential orientation of the tank shell of the tank construction corners of the UHT section A of the ASME code must be post-weld heat treated until the after from all the welds and shell head. Other tanks must be post-weld the heat treated required in section A of the ASME code. All the tanks in the method is prescribed in the ASME code. Welded attachments to the pads made with the post-weld with the heat treatment. Fabricator shall record with the heat slab the number of the certified with the Sharpie impact with the valve with each of the plate with the tank with the sketch for the showing the location of each of the plate with the shell heads with the tank with the copy with the sketch must be provided to the owner. The cargo tank with the copy must be retained with the fabricator for at least 4 or 5 years made available to the time of the request of the duly identified representative of the department. 178 33 83 structural integrity. General requirements except for the criteria except for the provided and permitted with the paragraph D with the section maximum calculated design aim the point of the tank blade not exceed with the lesser maximum allowable stress value prescribed in section A of the ASME code with the 25% of the tensile strength of the material. With the very relevant physical property of the material that used for the tank of the established certified test of the report with the material manufacturer testing conform with the working of the national standard either the ultimate strength of the material that design made not exceed 120% of the minimum multiple tons with strength specified ASME code ASTM and stand with the material that manufacturer the maximum design strength at any point of the tank with must be calculated separately with loading with the condition as described in paragraph B, C, and D of the section. Alternative test analytical method combination thereof may be used in lieu of the procedure described in paragraph B, C, and D of the section method. The accurate of the variable corrosion along with the material that may not include the satisfied with all design calculation requirements of the section static design construction test design construction with the use for the tank of the corners of the appendix G of the section A of the estimate code. Tank design must include the calculation stress due to the design pressure weight and landing of the weight structure supported by the tank wall with the effective temperature for the grading of the result of the landing ambient temperature of the extremity the similar metals over the materials used the thermal coefficients may be used the calculation of thermal stress of the pressure corrosion tension and binding with the torsion over the torsion occurs with the paddle creates for the other support may be considered the corners of the appendix G of the section A of the estimate code stress resulting from the stack with the dynamic load of the combination there of the uniform throughout the cargo motor vehicle the following simplified procedure for the calculation effective stress of the tank resulting in static and dynamic loads. The effective stress of the maximum principal of the stress at any point must be determined by the following formula. S is equal to the effective stress given over the most severe combination of the static dynamic loads and can occur at the same time. The PSS, while the circumferential stress of the generated with the internal external pressure then equal to PSI SX. Net longitudinal stress then generated PSI generated with the condition the longitudinal tensile stress with internal pressure, the tensile compressive stress generated with the axle load resulting in the decelerated force applied with independently with each of the special impediment. Assembly of the road surface with the use of pressure static loading is specified in 178, 338, 313B. The tensile strength of the compressive strain rate with the bending moment result in decelerated force applied with independently each suspension. Assembly with the roots first of the applicable state loading specified in 178, 338, 313B. The tensile compressive strength with the generated axle loading result of the accelerated force applied with the horizontal pivot of the fifth wheel supporting vehicle was applicable with the static load specified 178, 338, 13B. The tensile with the compressive strength with the generated bending with the result of the accelerated force applied with the horizontal pivot of the fifth wheel of the support of the vehicle using applicable static load specified 178, 338, 13B. Tensile compressive strength with the generated bending moment of the reduce the vertical force using the applicable static loads in 178, 338, 13B. SS. The following shear strength applied with the PSI vertical sum of the applicable the shear strength in plane over the under consideration including shear generated with the static vertical load directly lateral and torsional with shear generated with the lateral accelerated force applied with the road surface of the applicable static loads and specified 178, 338, and 813. In order to account the strength of the impact of the accident, the design calculation tank show the head that must be included the load resulting in dynamic pressure. Design pressure for the combination from the dynamic pressure resulting from the longitudinal deceleration 2G with the loading condition and stress valve the main exceed with the less reveal the strength of the 75% of the ultimate tensile strength of the material construction for cargo tank construction with the stainless steel with the maximum design strength with the main exceed 75% ultimate tensile strength with the type of the steel. The thickness of the shield head with the tank with 187 thousandths of its steel, 270 thousandths of an inch aluminum head with the minimum thickness of the steel with 110 thousandths of an inch, provided with a cargo tank vacuum insulated with double the wall load bearing jacketed design carried with the proper proportionate amount of the structural load of the prescribed section. When the tank is supported with attached anything with the tank of the wall, the stress and input with the tank of the wall must meet with the requirements of paragraph A of the section design construction insulation. Attachment and principle of the cargo tank of the structural support member between the cargo and the tank of the vehicle or the suspension component or the external projection of the device must conform to the following requirements. Structural members substantial with the subframe with the external projection structure over the external circumference of the reinforcement design that will use inside with the attachment and principle of the other accessory with the cargo tank when practical lightweight attachment of the cargo tank wall shoves conductive continuity clip of the brake line clip of the skirting structure of the land with the mounting brake of the black car holder might be construction heavy unless the strength of the cargo tank wall material that may not be more than 72% of the thickness of the material when it is attached. A lightweight attachment may be secured directly with the cargo tank well's device designed and installed in such a manner that if damaged it will not affect the landing of the retention integrity of the tank. Lightweight attachment but must secure with the cargo tank of the head with a continuous weld in such a manner that preclude the formation pockets that may become inside with the corrosion attachment meeting of the requirements of the paragraph that are not authorized for the cargo tank construction on paragraph UHC with the section A of the ESN code. Except as prescribed in paragraph BG1 and G2 of the section of the welding appurtenance to the cargo tank must be made with an attachment with the mounting pad, but there must be no adverse effect upon the landing of the retention integrity of the cargo tank. And then a fourth lesson in the prescribed paragraph B1 of the section applied with any of the direction thickness of the mounting pad may not be left in the shell of the head to the which is attached, not more than 1.5 times the shell head thickness out with the pad with minimum thickness of 180 thousandths of an inch. May be used with the shell of the head thickness of over 180 thousand inch. Weep holes and telltale holes are used when pad holes are drilled with them punched in the lowest point, but before as welded into the tank. Pad must be fabricated with material determined with suitable for the welding of the cargo tank material. Material prudency structural support design certification must be determination of the chemical of the physical property being within a specified fill or metal with the conform with the quantum section 9 of the ASME code. Be performed with the inside of the radius, no greater than the outside radius of the cargo tank attachment location, extend with at least 2 inches with the direction of the point of the attachment of the prudency of the structural support member. Dimensions must be measured within certain of the attached structural member. Have the round corner of the other shaped in manner for the minimized stressing concentrations of the shifting shell on the head of the attached continuous fillet weld. The fillet weld discontinue only with the purpose of preventing the intersection between the fillet weld and tank of the jacket and seeing the weld. 178, 338, 4 joint, all joints and tanks and the other jacket and jacket evacuated with the prescribed in section 8 of the ASME code. The except of the butt weld on one plate edge of the offset of the authorized weld per sheet of weld. Well, the performance must be made in accordance with the section 9 ASME code. The required qualifications must be retained with the tank manufacturer for at least 5 years. Must be made available upon request to any of the duly identified representative of the department owner of the cargo tank. All longitudinal weld, the tank longitudinal bearing must be located with the non-intersecting nozzle supporting the other loading rings and sifting rings. Substructure must be properly fitted with the attachment weld. The sequence must be minimized. The strength of the shrink of the weld filler material containing less than 0.05% of the vanadium must not be within quencher temperature. The tank of the nozzle, shell of the nozzle, the head welds must be with full penetration of the welds. 178, 338, 5 sifting rings. Tanks required to provide with the sifting rings except for the prescribed in paragraph section 8 of the SME code. If the jacket is evacuated, constructed in compliance with 178, 338, 1F, and the sifting rings may be used to meet the requirements. What's up? Sure, I'll sleep with you.
Sleep with me.